Morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Today we'll take on the subject matter of what has now become rampant building collapses in Nigeria. Lagos actually is something of a forerunner, a front runner, not forerunner, a front runner in this unhappy statistic, but it is by no means alone. We are getting these buildings collapsing all over the place, from Plateau State to Abuja. And so we'll be talking with a professional because it's not the first time we've spoken about it. And rather than see it come down, it does seem to be, if not on the increase, at least it's holding steady. Our guest this morning is architect Akinola George, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Architects and former president, Building Collapse Prevention Guild. Good morning to you, architect George.
So Yori Folani, pleased to be here, not so pleased to be here.
Yeah, I understand, because because you seem to be the expert we will grab when we have these collapses. And we were talking about it earlier on that, come on, architects, how about the developmental aspect about it? How about the construction aspect of it? But so you know how it is.
How about future planning?
Yes, all of that. Maybe all of that will also factor into what we're going to talk about this morning. How do these things keep on happening? It's been linked to things like poor design. It's been linked to things like inferior materials and those kind of things. We'll come and talk about those things. But first, let's play this report of what went earlier as a sort of lead into our conversation.
Primary and secondary school just collapsed this morning here in Jos, the Plateau State capital. As you can see, residents from different parts of the state are out to see if they can rescue some of the students that are trapped inside this building. The reason behind this development is yet to be ascertained at the moment.
Residents of Busabuji community in Jos North local government area of Plateau State are still in a shock and sober mood following the collapse of this building. Members of the community were going about their morning activities when the sound of the building collapsing took them unaware. Security operatives from the Nigerian Police, Army and Civil Defense alongside officials of the National Emergency Management Agency are here searching for survivors. Few hours ago, some trapped victims were rescued with various degrees of injury and taken to the hospital for medical attention. These are the accounts of some eyewitnesses.
I had my child is here, so I was coming in. I saw smoke, the kind of milky smoke. So I was wondering if the school has started using gas. So I started running in. When I was at the block industry and I discovered that it was a collapse issue, I started crying because my child is here. I started crying, pleading God, asking him for mercy.
Actually, I was in the house when my second son called me that my daughter's school has collapsed. So I started running. From U-Town, I ran down to this place because I was confused. Coming here to see what happened here, it was devastating. I cannot control myself. Fortunately, my daughter is in SS2A and her class is off from the upstairs.
The population of this school is too much and it's the best school so far. But the way of destruction of the building, that is what collapsed this building. I thank God my daughter came out alive. She said immediately she came out here to ease herself. Coming out from the toilet, she saw the building starting shaking like say earthquake was affecting the school. And the student trapped there now are the classmates of my daughter being trapped inside here. I think they're more than 30. Here you are seeing here now is JS1, JS2, SS1 and some classes, more than 3 to 4 classes here.
Residents are now being encouraged to donate blood to survivors in critical condition who are fighting for their lives. Funom Joshua, TVC News, Jos.
Okay, welcome back. And as I was saying, there's even a newspaper article on it, a newspaper editorial on it. Nigeria experienced 135 building collapses and at least 26 deaths between 2022 and 2024. So that is not that is not a statistic to be sneezed at. So we ask, again. What are the causes of the situation not being remedied, in spite of the fact that it's not the first? I mean, in the 2 years between 22 and 24, 26 deaths resulting from 135 collapses all over the country. It isn't an emergency yet, seems to be the question.
Well, of course, as I said earlier, before we went on air, it's so unfortunate that it's only when we have collapses that media houses all over the whole place start calling us. I've been at radio stations, we've had to release newspaper articles and all the rest. And here we are now at the TV station, so many other TV stations. It's a systemic thing.
There's something wrong with the system.
Yes. You can't address, for example, now, let's assume we start taking remedies today. We start having statistical remedies. Okay, let's do this, and then we start thinking that it will reduce tomorrow morning. It's not going to.
Okay.
A problem that has been on for 100 years, 50 years, you cannot, put a recipe today and expect a final solution tomorrow. A house that was built 30 years ago, for example, maybe it has been gradually collapsing over the years without us noticing.
Yeah.
Then the rains come, the ground is a bit not so stable, sinking holes come, and a lot of other things. Boom.
Oh, we do have sinking holes.
Not exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
because I was surprised by the terminology.
Yes, sinking holes, sliding. These are phenomena that can happen anywhere in the world.
Okay.
And you cannot predict it.
But so far, Nigeria has been blessed. That's sinking holes where the ground will just open up and swallow you.
Yes.
To the glory of God. We just like hurricanes and that kind of thing. We don't have.
Yes, I need us to be scientific about this. Hurricanes, earthquakes, you don't see them happening here. But earthquakes, earth tremors have happened here before. Yeah? Tremors. They have happened here before.
Not everybody.
So, if you look at the way things are, if you are a good administrator, or you are a good functional head of state or president or whatever, you are in charge of the planning industry. What you should do is to be futuristic, is to be to plan ahead, to preempt these issues. Supposing this happens, what do we do? The last time I was here, I remember talking about all this. But it has not solved the problem. Why? Because governments are selective in what they implement. Government of Lagos State, for example, has been very, very proactive. They've really tried, because 50%, more than 50% of the collapses in the country are here in Lagos State. So you can expect that. Population explosion is here. Overloaded houses here. And a lot of other things that can cause collapse. People break laws more here in Lagos State. So the government has to be a bit more stringent. But is the government doing enough?
But when you look at this fact that schools, you would have thought that schools will be operating, the construction of schools will be operating under the most stringent of conditions, especially because of the implication.
Who built the schools? Is it a private individual? Is it the government? And when the government built the, if whoever built it, were they properly supervised? Was the building properly procured? And again, after procurement, was it properly supervised during construction? What kind of materials were used?
Okay, these rhetorical questions that you are asking, it just brings to mind the question in abroad. Let's go to in England, for example. You hear of buildings that are hundreds of years old. Is it that they had a better sense of building construction and technology, or that they were more stringent than us? I recall when a very popular developer, his investment collapsed in central Lagos here. That same developer had been said to have had great success in the UK, great success in South Africa, and then the one that we know he's doing here, this happens. So what is it about the system, the society, the approving authority, and the builders, the professionalism itself, And indeed, societies like yours, like your former president of the Building Collapse Prevention Guild, what is the role that you can play? Because you would have studied all of this. None of this is news to you.
It is not news.
So, but it still is happening.
Yeah. It's all of that and more. Okay? When you get to a place like the UK, you see, I was at the St. Paul's Cathedral.
Okay.
The St. Paul's Cathedral is like 600 years old, 500 years old, thereabout. And it's as solid as tomorrow morning.
Exactly. There are manor houses, etc., and all of those.
A lot of them. So many issues. There's a British building standard that is stringently adhered to.
Okay.
They call it British standard, BSBS. Mm-hmm. It is something that is religious. They adhere to it religiously. You cannot put this grade of concrete in this kind of construction. You cannot use this type of reinforcement, in this type of construction. Mm-hmm. You cannot bring this kind of quality of sand to site. And the setback or whatever on this particular site, the soil tests that have to be done, a lot of things. Mm-hmm. There is nothing that must miss out in those checklists.
So you have professionals with integrity over there, because if they have standards,
professionals here have integrity.
But if nobody could compromise their integrity over the past 600 years of that tradition, which you call the BS,
British standard,
the British standards, we also have, I'm sure, no less professional standards. But the men and women who are to operate those standards,
you have maybe out of all the buildings that are collapsing, if you can count 5% that are the fault of professionals, even the one in Lagos, the one about Fosco.
Okay.
Fosco, that's the nickname of the guy. Yes. It's somebody I know. I knew him very well. And when he did once he did in the UK.
Yes.
He contracted them out because he's not a professional. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He had to be given to professionals, architects, structural engineers, and so on and so forth, who procured that building or those buildings properly. Same thing in South Africa. But here, he beat the system, or the system can be beaten here.
Well, okay, so it can only be beaten because the people there are compromised.
We are not the operators.
But there is somebody, whether it is government, whether it is private, whether it's professional.
Yes.
These are the people that are supposed to say, absolutely no way you can do that. And they don't.
That is why we, as advocates, are constantly going all over the whole place, preaching like this.
Okay.
Say all this thing that we are saying, because we are not in government, we don't have power. Mm-hmm. We are an advocacy group.
And those rules don't have power, apparently.
Fine, but we can affect how things are done, which is what we have done to bring about LABCA. Okay. LABCA in Lagos State is as a result of advocacy.
What is LABCA?
Lagos Building Control Agency.
Oh, okay.
Lagos State Building Control Agency. Okay. So, when you are doing your construction, after you have done your approval, all the consultants that you used, they are satisfied the government. Mm-hmm. Then you are doing construction, every stage has to be supervised stringently. But as they are doing that, these are for new buildings. These are for buildings that are being procured now. Not buildings procured 30, 40, 50 years ago. Yes. So you will have collapses in those areas if they were not properly procured.
Then.
And by the way, we kept telling the Lagos State government, and I'm not shy of saying this, we say it all the time. There are hundreds of thousands of professionals in the 7 built environment industries who are trained to build. These are the people who are trained to put up houses and structures. You can always use them to augment the shortfall in the staff, that you have, because they can never. There are over 20,000 houses coming up in Lagos almost every month. So how can you supervise all of them? But these professionals live, work in all those places all over Nigeria. So you can easily exploit them and ask them to do to whistle blow.
Okay.
To check, because they have trained eyes. For example, now if I come here now and I see cracks on your walls, I won't come in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I see a beam that is deflecting.
Because that shouldn't be.
Yes. So we have those people with the trained eyes. And we're asking the Lagos State government, which we have already implemented in Ogun State. We're asking the Lagos State government to partner with us partner with all these professionals who are everywhere and like ombudsmen.
Yeah, the problem with Lagos State government, if dare I say so, and I imagine a lot of people who are of Lagos State affiliation, association will perk up and say, yes, well, what do you want to say about the problem of Lagos State government? Is that they themselves will seal a building in the morning. Work must stop. And people will go there in the night and break those shackles and work continues.
Why is somebody overloading his vehicle and traveling on the road where there are policemen? Why? Because I witnessed this yesterday.
I thought it was an almost, you don't need to go to court. You're in jail already for breaking the shackles of Lagos State government or the seal of the Lagos State government on a site. But life continues.
I was going to Wole Soyinka's 90th birthday yesterday at Ishara. On the road, I stood behind, some vehicles at the checkpoint. And this vehicle in front of me was overloaded. And the policeman, very aggressive with guns and everything. They came to challenge the guy. The guy just did like this. And what was happening? The vehicle they saw me, and they saw the way that I was looking at them.
Yes.
They quickly passed me.
It's not a laughing matter. But the thing is, we do have the regulations. We do have the laws. Indeed, we do have the professionals in Lagos State government, because I know that, like most other places,
and in Plateau State too,
and in Plateau State, and in Abuja, and all those other places. But there's something about the people who are charged with be the gate man here. If you say nothing passes, nothing passes.
Let me say something that is a bit of an eye-opener. Lagos Island has a lot of deficient houses.
Okay.
Almost every building there has been tampered with, built up.
Yes, okay.
A lot of laws have been compromised there.
Yeah.
And buildings are falling there. But do you think it's possible for the Lagos State government now to go into Lagos Island
and say it wants to start correcting
and start bringing buildings down? There will be a riot.
There will be an uproar. All the chiefs in Lagos, all the, there will be phone calls galore all over the place saying, no. You can't do that. That is a long-standing, quite frankly, the conversation could really end here, but we're not allowed to, because we must continue to explore, because I have a sense that we know what the problem is. You just said it yourself. There are a lot of mistakes. Even those that are still upstanding are still mistaken. But tell me what you think is going to happen if Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu said, you know what, zero tolerance for anything untoward, any infringement of the law, no matter how small, zero tolerance for it. As you said, the best is left to one's imagination.
It takes a bold man, somebody who can hold the woods by the horns and act. And it has to happen.
Resist the pressures that are going to come.
Yes, it has to happen. If it doesn't happen, then you'll be calling us every time. I don't want to be called there for this particular thing.
There are many other aspects to the profession.
Yeah, to the profession that you can call us for, that can help construction, that can help developmental aspects of the society, that can help inner city planning, urban regional planning, and a lot of other things that will make our city look beautiful.
Because it seems that the last time you were here, all the things you said are still indeed where you said them, in place. I don't know. Are you, sir, are a professional? I think you spent your career in Lagos State.
Lagos, all over Nigeria,
all over
sometimes outside.
All over Nigeria. So you know what you're talking about. But the last time you were here, you highlighted all of these issues to the best of your knowledge. Has anything changed since then? And if we hadn't had this continued spate of collapses, we wouldn't be here talking about it. And the people who heard that program might imagine that work was being done in the background and things are not as the same as when professionals, you weren't the only one who was out. When professionals were out speaking about this matter, the matter has moved forward a number of notches. Do you feel that that has been the case?
Yeah, there are little improvements here and there, because
in regulations,
supervision, engagements, the government and all of us. But it is not enough. And then the government itself, especially in Lagos State, is not engaging the professionals enough. I make bold to say that. Look at a city like Berlin in Germany, the present capital of Germany, was leveled during the Second World War. It was flattened because two heavyweights are coming from both sides. The Allies on the left and the Russians, the Soviets on the right. But go and look at Berlin today.
Yeah.
Berlin is fully built to correct regulations and standards. So even if we level the whole of Lagos State today, and we do systematic improvements, systematic constructions, smart constructions all over the whole place, we can only cry for a while. And I'm not talking of only that place. If you are going on your way to Lagos now around the Oshoki and you look right and left, you will see buildings that are tilting, buildings that are deflecting, and a lot of things because they are building on quicksand, they are building on shifty sand.
Which they could possibly be doing with Lagos State government approval, for instance, where these occur in Lagos, because it is said that no building is going to go up without government approval.
That is the law. 500 laws is 0% implementation. So it will happen. People will break laws. But what are you doing to preempt their breaking of those laws? And when they break the laws, what sanction are you inflicting on them? A lot of things. Even the people that are manufacturing materials. 12 mm, when you now put micromillimeter gauge on it, you see 11 and 11.5 mm instead of 12. Meanwhile, the person that has done the calculation based on 12 mm steel reinforcement
and has worked
of these constraints.
Has worked out the formulas
Yes.
from those base figures and even from the manufacturing source. And that's because what we're supposed to have, we have standards organizations. You would have felt that they were saying, no, this is not coming into Nigeria. This is 0.00.
Even the ones being manufactured in Nigeria, the ones being manufactured in Ikeja here.
So you see, it's what was the word our reporters used that time? It's heartbreaking, especially where it concerns schools and children, where we are having incidents of 22 kids trapped and killed, possibly. It's a problem. And the big fear is that if you come back 5 years, another conversation is going on. Perhaps things very similar to what we are talking about now will still be brought up.
There was a time when I was president of BCPG, I engaged commissioners of physical planning all over the country. One-on-one, because some of them are my colleagues, like the one in Akwa Ibom, who was my classmate. The one in Kaduna, the young lady in Kaduna, an architect, we are in the NIA together. And they're experiencing this kind of Nigerian factor problem. So ultimately, it's an ongoing conversation. But you see, our conversation cannot be so slow. We cannot be as slow as we are and expect miraculous transformation. It will not happen. There has to be something drastic.
The scary thing from what you've just said is that, touch wood, God preventing, there are more collapses, in the immediate future.
They are already preparing.
You see, this is why it's a big problem. Okay, maybe we can get some callers to call in, or perhaps I better wait till after the break because so that they won't be interrupted. But maybe some professional builders will call in. Maybe some private developers will call in and add to what the body of knowledge that you are sharing here, because houses ordinarily are not left empty, inhabited by people, and it is these people that are at risk. And what is more important than human life is why you would expect that some supervisory authority, that would be uppermost on their mind. We're not going to allow you to put up a structure that, even if it's looking good now, in 10, 15 years, it could come down. Who knows who's going to be there then? And that kind of, I just don't know, because everybody's involved. Even the engineers in the states that, are advanced, so to say, sometimes you hear of compromises. What should be what the specifications should be. You hear that people with authority, professional authority, are signing off on things that are less or lesser. You just talked about a critical point just now. you said that even the manufacturers of things like iron rods are coming in under spec. So you think you're quoted 12 mm rods, but actually you bring a measure to it, and it is not 12. It is 11 point something. But people, maybe because of the nature, how we are, we're not exactly Germany, where they say they're very crazy about measurements and technology and specifications. People say, well, it's okay, it's okay. 12, 11.8, it's okay, we'll manage it.
If it is not it, it is not it.
Yeah, it reminds me of an old saying, if it's not Panadol, it's not Panadol. I'll tell you what, let's take a break now. We'll be right back. We'll continue with this conversation and take calls from home. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back.